Hello and welcome to That's English.
Hello.
Today our documentary is about a very interesting subject, globalisation.
I'm an expert on globalisation.
Are you really?
Yes, I am a citizen of the global world.
Can you give us some examples?
Well, when I was on holiday in Indonesia, I found my favourite brand of British shampoo in a local shop.
Is that all?
Well, I eat Indian food once a week, and I support an American football team and watch all their games on satellite TV.
I think globalisation is a bit more complicated than that, Ashley. Let's ask a real expert. Ken Wilson is an expert on language and cultural exchange, and he's going to tell us about the effects of globalisation. For example, how globalisation makes it easy for rich countries to trade, hacer negocios.
Does he say anything about music?
Yes, and how a very famous British band helped to spread music across the world. Spread, difundir.
And while you watch, find the answer to this question. Which is the most popular type of globalisation?
Globalization is happening all around us. We are living in a global society. We have the same products, the same brands, the same experiences. The spread of technology is making this happen very fast. International food and drinks companies are replacing traditional or national ones and local family businesses. Some people are not happy about globalization. They worry about losing their cultural identity. They feel that their national characteristics are disappearing. The spread of Halloween is an example of globalization, an annual event where people dress up in costume. It was first popular in the United States and Great Britain. It is now becoming a global festival. Expert in cultural exchange Ken Wilson explains that the term globalization means many different things.
I think there are many different kinds of globalization. There's economic globalization, where rich countries and financial institutions make it possible to transfer funds, to buy and sell goods. Then you've got, obviously, product globalization. Wherever you go, there's a McDonald's, there's a Starbucks. And then there's, I suppose, the one that people like best, which is cultural globalization, the fact that American films are everywhere.
But what does globalization mean for ordinary people? It really depends on where you live.
The advantages of globalization for rich countries is that they can trade very easily. It's not so easy for poor countries. The disadvantage, every time a Starbucks opens, it means that a local cafe probably closes.
Some people may like globalization, some may not. But there is no doubt that English is the language of our globalized world. It's spoken everywhere you go.
Most spoken English is not between native speakers. 80% of exchanges in English are between people who don't speak English as a first language. The more people travel, the more people trade, the more they need a language that everybody understands, and that's why English is in the position it's in.
So why has this happened? Why is English the language that everybody needs to speak?
Half the world, certainly 50 years ago, wanted to trade with the United States. So if they wanted to trade with the US, they had to speak English. Secondly, there's the spread of film and music. If you want to access any information on the internet, it's probably in English. English will always be the international language of airports, of the internet, of maybe music and films.
But now there's a new language that's becoming important: Chinese.
The most important country in the world in 10 years' time will be China. So learn English first, but then think in the next 10 years you may need a third language, and that third language is probably Mandarin Chinese.
We are now living in a truly globalized world.
Wow, that was fascinating. I could listen to Ken for hours. Ashley, do you remember the question?
Yes, we asked, which is the most popular type of globalization?
Let's watch again.
And then there's, I suppose, the one that people like best, which is cultural globalization, the fact that American films are everywhere.
So, the answer is, the most popular type is cultural globalization.
Yes, that's right.
So now we have to study Mandarin Chinese, Annabelle.
That's right. Some English children are already studying Mandarin.
And it's amazing that 80% of exchanges in English are between people whose first language isn't English.
Well, as Ken says, English will always be the language of airports, the internet, films and music.
Probably.
And now we're going to hear what our friends from different English-speaking countries answered to this question.
How have other cultures influenced the daily life of your country?
Let's watch.
We're hugely influenced by Polynesian culture, Polynesian and Maori customs, language, eating habits come into our everyday lives.
There are a lot of Italians in Scotland who settled in the late 19th, early 20th century, and they brought with them cafes and ice cream bars, and so cafe culture in Glasgow actually particularly is quite well developed.
I believe the Cuban culture has a lot of influence on America, mainly like in Miami, Florida. The language has changed pretty much totally. People are speaking something we call Spanglish.
Britain used to own Jamaica, and you can see that in named places like Manchester, which is also a British place. And a lot of the ceremonies, marriage ceremonies, are very British.
There is some influence in terms of diet and language.
Something that impacts on me is the introduction of coffee from our Italian migrants. They introduced cappuccinos, and we have a big coffee culture now in Australia.
Wow! Italian coffee has had a big impact.
Yes, Italian emigrants took their coffee and cafe culture to different parts of the world, like Scotland and Australia. Oh, I love a good cappuccino.
Oh, actually, I prefer English coffee.
Ugh, it's just like tea.
Precisely. Perfect for me. Anyway, what about the Cubans in Florida?
Creating a new language, Spanglish. That really is a big impact.
They combine Spanish and English so that everyone can understand. Very clever. Sí, qué listos. Now let's go on to our new section, the road trip.
Yes, and today we're going to meet Katie and Sam for the first time. Katie is British and Sam is American, and they're visiting some fascinating places in England and in Wales.
Great. I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too. Yo también estoy deseando verlo. While you watch, find the answer to this question. Does the waiter feel more British or Pakistani?
Sam and Katie work for the same global company based in Birmingham. Sam is American and works in the USA, while Katie is British and manages a department in the Birmingham office. Sam is visiting on a business trip, but has taken a holiday. Katie has offered to show him some of her favourite places in Britain.
A bit late.
That's all right. You know, Katie, I'm really looking forward to this trip, especially since my grandparents are from Wales.
Oh, fantastic. Anyway, before we go, let's eat.
Yes.
Wrong side, Sam.
Sorry.
My guidebook says that this area is called the Balti Triangle.
That's right. The restaurants are called Balti houses.
Which were started by the Indians and Pakistanis who arrived here in the 1970s.
There you go, it's all finished.
Oh, yes, it was lovely.
It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, good stuff.
Do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Yeah, sure, why not?
How long has your family been in Britain?
My family moved over in the late 60s.
Ah. And where were your family originally from?
From Pakistan.
So, where were you born?
I was born and bred in Birmingham.
Oh. So, do you feel more British or Pakistani?
I definitely feel more British.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
No worries.
Oh, thank you. It's lovely.
Thank you very much.
Can I get you guys anything else?
I'm stuffed.
No, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, he was nice.
Yeah, that was good.
Sorry, I'm a friend of Saeed's.
Oh, hi.
Yes, my family was originally from Pakistan. I feel both British and Pakistani.
So, in what ways are you British?
My children feel more British than I do. They go to English school, like football more than cricket, and they speak better English than Urdu.
So, would you prefer to live in Pakistan or Britain?
Here.
And why is that?
I prefer the religious tolerance and the freedom of speech here.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, one more question. Are you gonna eat that?
Sam!
Well, I just thought
It's okay.
So, off to Wales.
Yes, but first I'd like to show you some very important history in England.
All right.
So there's a very important Pakistani community in Birmingham. Well, that's quite a surprise.
I used to eat in the Balti Triangle when I was a student.
Why is the area called that?
Well, Balti is the name of the pot the curry is cooked in, and the main Balti restaurant area is in the shape of a triangle.
I see. So what about the question? Did you find the answer? Does the waiter feel more British or Pakistani? Let's watch again.
So, do you feel more British or Pakistani?
I definitely feel more British.
So the answer is the waiter feels more British than Pakistani.
Yes, because he was born and grew up in Birmingham.
How about you, Annabelle?
I was born and grew up in Liverpool.
Great. Well, that's all we have time for. See you in the next programme of That's English.
Yes, see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.